we have defined two separate resources inside of our MCP server. So now our client needs the ability to request these resources. To do so, we're going to add in a single function inside of our MCP client. And remember, this MCP client is going to have some functionality that we're putting together that is going to be used by the rest of our application. And I've already put together that code already. So somewhere else inside of this project, something is going to try to make use of this function that we're about to add into the MCP client. To get started, I'm going to open up the MCP client file again. I'm going to scroll down and find read resource right here. So our goal inside of here is to read a particular resource by making a request off to our MCP server, and then parse the contents that come back depending upon its MIME type, and then just return whatever data we get. So you'll notice that an argument to it is the URI. This is going to be the URI of the resource that we want to fetch from the server. In order to make a request, just to get all of our types nicely, we're going to add two imports at the very top of the file. I'm going to add in an import for the JSON module, and from Agentic, I will import any URL. Then I'll go back down to our read resource function. I'm going to clear out the comment and the return statement. Then I'll get a result from calling await self session. I want to read resource. And then again, this is really just to get the types to work out. We're going to put in any URL with the input URI. Then I'm going to take from that result result contents at 0. And I want to make this clear right here why we are adding this in. So just a moment ago inside of our inspector, we saw the response we get back. So this is essentially that result variable. The result has a contents list, and there's going to be a list of elements inside there. We really only care about the very first one. So I want to get the first dictionary. I want to access the type property and the MIME type. I want specifically the MIME type because it's going to help me understand what kind of data we got back. If it is JSON, then I want to make sure I parse the text as JSON and return that result. So let me show you how we're going to do that. I'm going to add in a if is instance of resource types text resource contents. And inside there, if resource MIME type is equal to application JSON. So this is our hint in use. If the server told us that it's giving us back some JSON, we need to make sure that we parse the text content as JSON. So I will return, in that case, a JSON loads of resource.text. And then otherwise, if we don't fall into that if statement and return early, I want to just return resource.text. So in this scenario, we'd be returning the text as just plain text. We're not parsing anything. So this would really be the case in which we get back the contents of a single document. All right, so that should really be it. We've got our read resource put together. Now, again, I want to remind you, I know I've said this several times, but I just want to remind you because I think it might be a little bit unclear. The code that we're writing inside of the MCP client is being used from several other places inside of this code base. So somewhere else in this code base, we're going to be calling that function that we just put together to get the list of document names, and then eventually get the contents of a document to put into a prompt. So at this point, everything should essentially work because the rest of the work has already been done for us. So with that in mind, let's go back over to our terminal and we're going to test out our CLI application again and see if this mention feature works. Okay, so back over here, I'll do a uv run main.py, and now I should be able to say something like what's in the at, and there we go. I see my list of resources and I can use the arrow key to scroll through. Once I am at a resource I like, I'll just hit space and it will insert that resource. So what's in the report.pdf document? And now I can tell you that everything is working as expected here. In other words, the contents of this document is being sent off to Claude inside of a prompt. So if I submit this, I should see an immediate response and it's going to tell me what is inside of report PDF. So this time around, Claude did not have to use a tool to read the contents of the document. All right, so that is resources. Again, we make use of resources to expose some amount of information from our MCP server.